Good evening. The old man here, 11 27 24. Tonight, I want to talk about, let's call it my plans or my budget or my goals, however you want to look at it. That's actually a combination of all the above. First of all, the way I look at it is I want to be the CEO of my own bank, my own central bank. I don't believe in central banks. I think they're unconstitutional, number one. Central planning never works. Planning by committee is just a cluster. It always is, it always was, and it always will be. It's better planned on an individual scale. The thing about being your own bank, you got to have savings. That's the biggest thing. Again, I've talked about it before. Debt is slavery, and I don't like slavery. I like freedom. And for those that haven't experienced it in a while, freedom is freaking awesome. Okay, now we still got the government with their foot on our neck. But for now, this is as close as we're going to get to freedom until a lot of things in this country change. But just the freedom of being debt-free is unbelievable. I can't even begin to explain it. And until you get there, you won't believe how powerful that is. It's just that it just frees your mind up. It just, you got a whole different way of thinking. It's just amazing. But with that being said, kind of tell you where I'm at as far as being prepared. My first thing was to have my preps ready, have a sufficient amount of preps. Now, I'm always working on those preps. I shore them up about every week, every month for sure. I use some preps up just to rotate them out. Besides, if you ever want to use your preps or need to use your preps and you've never done it before, who knows, your body might not even like it. So you get used to it now. And not only that, by rotating and using my preps, basically, number one, I practice what I preach, but also part of my preps is buying things in bulk and buying them inexpensive or when they're on sale. So that's also part of being prepared. So preparation or preps is my number one thing. Food, water, meat. I guess that'd be part of your food, wouldn't it? Things like that is number one. And number two, I like to have 2 to 3 months worth of cash on hand to cover bills in case there ever is a banking crisis where cash is difficult to come by. Maybe your bank goes down and you got money tied up in your bank, and good luck getting it out. Even if it's FDIC insured, I don't think most people realize that they can pay that out on a very slow trickle. My understanding is it can be as long as a 4-year process to get paid back in full by the FDIC. So that means you need to have cash as preps. If nothing else, you could go pay your bills in person, or maybe you put enough money in another account just to quick pay your bills, in a banking crisis. And I think that's very possible with what we've seen in March of 23, was it? We had some banks in California go down. I think that's possible again. So having 3 months worth of cash on hand That's a really good idea. That's a very good part of being prepared today. I would have never done this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, never even thought about it. But now I think it's a real possibility. So again, I've got 3 months cash to pay bills on hand. And in the meantime, that'll give me time to, uh, figure out another strategy. The main thing is not to be panicked. And if you're not prepared, you are likely to be panicked. And there's never been a good decision made during a panic. So being prepared is extremely important. Also, gold and silver and even Bitcoin, believe it or not, this whole bastard's got some Bitcoin, is also part of my being my own bank strategy. I would say in normal times and in the future, I'll be looking at stocks. Not saying I'm going to buy any, but I'll be looking at stocks. If they go where I think they're going to go and there's some real value there, I'll be trading gold for stocks. Not all of it. I'll always have my base. Need to have a base of gold no matter what. But I will be trading some of that, possibly trading it even for stocks. If Bitcoin gets down to 20,000 again or less, and it will, I'm sure it will. It's very cyclical. We'll see. I know the guys that the Bitcoin guys are, it's going to the moon. It's going to the moon. It might one day. I don't know. But I think we got a lot of downside before we get anywhere near the moon. So, but I do use it as a hedge. And what I mean by that is if my gold and silver's taking a hit for some reason, let's say the economy's booming, stocks are going crazy, well, my Bitcoin should be too. Okay. But don't mind you, I've got a very small position in Bitcoin. It's very small. One day I'm going to figure out what ratio of Bitcoin to gold I want to have, or my gold and silver stack. I want to figure out what ratio I want to have. Right now, I have no real good educated opinion on it, but I'm working on that. And if I ever figure out what that, I will. When I figure out what I think that ratio should be, I'll let you guys know as well. I'll be sure to bring it up. And I'm sure this is not the last time I'll be talking about my strategy in the future. So it's subject to change at any time. None of this is wrote in stone. It's a living, breathing document, if you will. And it's always changing as I learn different things, or, you got twists and turns of what's coming. Anybody thinks they know what's coming in the entirety, they have no clue, let me tell you. I have no clue. Honestly, as much as I've researched, it could go 50 ways to Sunday. God only knows. One small thing in any one direction can alter the whole thing. So things that we've never even dreamt of is possible and probable at this point. So I try to be prepared for as much as I can without overthinking it, and without, just burying your head and saying, screw it. It ain't worth it ain't worth it. I'm just going to play it by ear when I get there. No, that's not good. I think we all need to have a plan. If not only for yourself but also your family. So many family members either don't have the ability to do it or don't have the foresight to do it. Like I've talked about, the younger generations, they're thinking about a lot of other things, from starting a career to maybe finding a house or somewhere to live, or somewhere to rent, or what state am I going to live in. They got so many things on their mind right now and so many things going right now that most of them aren't stackers at all. And, I can't really judge them as far as that goes, because today it's pretty tough to start out. I wouldn't want to be doing it again myself right now. It'd be very difficult to figure out what direction to head in. With that being said, I graduated in '81. And we all know what the economy was like in 81. It outright sucked. And I made it work. So, and I was basically on my own. I had to figure it out. And I made it work. Even at that age, I made it work. So, they'll figure it out too. But like I said, they might need your help as well. So it's also, I feel, our duty to come up with a budget, or a plan, a strategy, whatever you want to call it, and with that, being able to help our loved ones as well. If it comes right down to it, we can help them as well. Let them figure it out on their own. But if they come back home to rest, or nest, I should say, back home to nest, then you'll be able to give them a hand until y'all can figure out another plan, another strategy. Because if you got people coming back home, obviously your plans and strategies are going to have to change. I also try to prep food-wise for that as well, as best I can. Here a couple videos ago, I mentioned that I've got at least 2 years worth of food, and I think that's a bit of an understatement. But I've got at least 2 years worth of food for two of us. So even if we had some family members move in with us, we'd still be okay. We wouldn't be in any crunch right from the get-go. We'd have plenty of time to figure out, strategy and what's going on. But again, getting back to my gold and silver and Bitcoin, my gold will always be my base. A certain amount of gold will always be my base. I would say if you take all my assets, add them up, I'm going to have 20% of my base, or 20% of my assets, be gold. All right, that's my goal. I try to keep it there. It's always fluctuating a little bit one way or the other. Whatever, doesn't matter. It's a goal. I try to keep it in the neighborhood. My gold to silver ratio, and I like to look at it as a ratio because dollar figures, number one, I don't even like to think about dollars in gold and silver any more than I have to. But my gold to silver ratio strategy, although it's hard to hold to it because I just keep finding more silver to buy, I had a really good deal. But my strategy is to get to 40 to 1, 40 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. Again, that's because I want my base to be that 20% gold. And then from there, figure out, what that takes with a 20% gold base and a 40 to 1 ratio. I keep working on that gold, or that silver. My silver is actually quite a bit higher than the 40 to 1 right now. But I keep trying to build that gold up to get it to that 40 to 1 ratio. And I try my hardest, but it doesn't always work, to buy less gold and more, or less silver and more gold to get that to my goal. The fact of the matter is, it's not that big a deal. As long as I'm stacking gold and silver, I'm fine. At my age, at 60, silver's quite a bit more speculative. So therefore, I should be stacking more gold than silver. And again, that's a rule. Just the thought process I have. There again, the reason for the 40 to 1 rule. If I was in my 20s, I'd be 400 to 1. Just because I got so much more time. If the silver doesn't pan out, well, and again, if you're 20 years old and you're going to be working for 40 more years, 42 more years, that silver to gold ratio is going to get to a point somewhere in there where you can trade that gold to silver ratio. You can trade that silver for gold, and that is my actual exit plan on silver. The only reason I stack silver, besides using it for barter one day if we have to, I really don't see it going that way, but it's very possible. So I got two things covered. Not only am I stacking weight, but I've also got a barter material, or barter metal, I should say. But my goal would be 400 to 1 if I was in my 20s. But now that I'm in my 60s, my goal is more like 40 to 1. But I'm still probably, if I sat down and figured it out, I'm probably somewhere between 60 and 70 to 1 ounces of silver to every ounce of gold. So I'm working on it, and, it'll get there someday. And as far as my Bitcoin to gold ratio, again, I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. Like I said, I've got a very small position in Bitcoin. If I bought some right now at what I feel is probably the top, I don't really think that makes sense at the moment, but I do have a small position, and I'll probably just keep it where it's at, and let's see how this thing rides out. The biggest thing about stacking gold and silver, the number one thing I think you want to be thinking about is buying it as close to spot as you can. Again, this is like a sumo match. I'm going to say it over and over and over again. It's all about putting on the weight. Pretty coins don't get you any farther ahead. It just, you pay more premiums and get less weight. Doesn't make sense to me. Get as much weight for your money as you can. When you're trading dollars for gold, God's money, real money, get as much gold as you can. Put on that weight as best you can, and not pay those high premiums. But my goal, or my second goal, besides trying to buy it as reasonable as, or making that trade with the lowest premiums possible, my second thing to think about, besides what I'm going to stack, whether it's 1 ounce rounds or constitutional or 1 ounce gold or scrap gold or scrap silver, that's not my second thing I think about. My second thing I think about is my exit strategy. When it's time to go, what am I going to do? Okay, what am I going to do? Well, I'll tell you, somewhere along the lines in the next, and I've got a 20, 25-year plan. Somewhere in the next 20 to 25 years, and I think it's going to be a hell of a lot sooner than that, but we'll see. I plan on, when that ratio of gold to silver gets to somewhere around 50 to 1, and a lot of guys say, well, that's historically not normal. It's probably not going to happen. Well, I think it's going to. And when it gets to 50 to 1, I'm going to probably make that silver to gold trade. Probably 20% of my silver stack I'm going to trade. At that point, I'm going to trade to gold. And depending on how fast things are moving and what it looks like at the time, when I get from the 50 to 1 ratio down to the 40 to 1 ratio, I'll probably do 40% of what I've got left. I'll trade from silver to gold. And then as that gold to silver ratio gets even tighter, and I believe it will, as it keeps getting tighter, I'll just keep trading silver for gold, silver for gold, silver for gold. And at that point, a lot of people might say, well, is gold even going to be available? Well, let me tell you, they're going to be selling gold when that price is that high. And I won't be selling gold or buying gold. I'm going to be trading for gold. And so what is my exit strategy with gold? What am I going to do with the gold at the end of the day? Well, who knows? I might just never use it and pass it on. That's possible. But what I'm going to be watching for at some point, I believe in the near future, if not the distant future, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll be looking to trade into commodities. Well, excuse me, I'll be looking to trade into either a commodity of either wooded land or farmland or something like that. Even if I don't want a farm, I can lease that farmland out. Even if I don't want to log that wooded land, I'll lease that wooded land out for hunting. Not a problem. It'll at least be enough to cover my taxes. It'll be something I can leave if, if I don't wind up selling it again in the future. Everything's cyclic. Typically, when gold and silver is high, things like real estate is low. So when gold and silver is high, trade it for real estate that's low, or something along that lines. But that's my exit plan anyways, is to trade it for the most part, would be to trade for some sort of property. I don't want any housing. I don't need another job. I don't want to buy a rental unit. And for those people that do, that's fantastic. It just ain't me. That's all. No big deal. I'm going to buy something that's totally undervalued. And as times get better, watch the value go back up. And at some point, when I feel that gold and silver is undervalued, and typically when real estate goes up, gold goes down, I'll be trading that real estate back into gold and silver. I'll sell it, trade it for gold and silver, and back and forth and back and forth. Like I said, I got a 25-year plan. I'm 60, going to be 62 next month, but I'm still got a 25-year plan. And as I get 5 years older, I'll push that 25-year plan out another 5 years. It's not a big deal. A lot of people think, well, really, do you think you're going to live that long? I don't know, but I got a plan to. I don't want to get there and go, oh, shit, now what? So you need to have that plan, or at least I feel I need to have that plan. And again, it's the exit strategy. I'm not married to my gold and silver, and unfortunately, them guys that are sitting on a bunch of pretty coins, they're like every Friday night, they're out there rubbing them, oh, my precious, and they don't want to let them go. When it comes time, they don't want to let them go. So what's going to happen is they're going to take that gold, ride it all the way to the top, and then ride it all the way back down to the bottom. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Gold and silver to me is just a vehicle, if you will, for right now. You got to put your money somewhere. Put your money where, or your wealth, I should say, not your money, but put your wealth somewhere where it's undervalued at this time. I think property is overvalued. Farmland, wooded land, and housing is way overvalued at this time, and gold and silver is still undervalued. Maybe Bitcoin's undervalued too. I don't know. We'll see about that. Could very well be near the top and it's going to take a dive right along with stocks. I don't know, honestly. But that's why I got a very small position. I don't want to be left in the dust. When it does, if it does go to the moon, I don't want to be saying, oh, shit, if I would have just had X amount of Bitcoin, where would I be today? So again, it's my hedge for gold and silver. If my gold and silver goes down for some reason, my Bitcoin's going up. If Bitcoin goes down for some reason, my gold and silver's going up. Okay, fine. That's cool. It just had one's hedging against the other. Although, like I said, I got a very, very small position in Bitcoin. Just by having my feet in the water, I pay more attention to it. If I didn't have anything in Bitcoin, I probably wouldn't pay any attention at all. So, all right, well, I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on this for tonight. We've been talking about having a plan or a budget or a strategy. I think this is all of the above. It is a plan, it's a budget, it's a strategy. They all kind of combine into one. And for me, gold and silver plays a big part in that. A very, very large role in my strategy. All right, guys. Thank you. Good night. Oh, and by the way, like and subscribe. And please, if you have anything to say at all, please comment. It will help me with future videos. Thanks, guys. Bye.